Recognizing disorders of the hair is what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get started, I want to thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you so much for your support. And God bless you. I want to thank all of my students, past and present students who have supported me. I find that to be a big blessing and an honor when your students appreciate you. So that motivates me to continue doing what I'm doing because I really love to help people. And that is why I'm doing these videos. So if you know someone who is interested in cosmetology, wants to learn more about State Board, I'm in California, so that's really all I can speak for. Share my videos, like my videos, and let's get started. All right, the first disorder that we're going to talk about is called canites, which is the technical term for gray hair. And what is gray hair? It's just hair that has no pigment in it. So if you recall when I've talked about the structure of the hair strand with the cuticle, cortex, and medulla, here we go again. In the core of the hair is where your melanin is found. And so in gray hair, though your text says it is no different from pigmented hair, it just has no pigment. So there's two types of canites. There's congenital canites and then there's acquired canites. So with acquired, it can be from genetics, it can be from age, but it can cause premature graying of the hair, and that can be from prolonged stress and anxiety. It could also be from a long-term illness that can cause you to lose the pigment in your hair. Congenital canites, you will find it can happen at birth or, of course, prior to birth, which means during the pregnancy. You will find that with people who have albinism, and that's when they have no pigment in their skin, their hair, or their eyes. And also it says in your text that people with normal pigmented hair can actually develop this type of canites. All right, the next one that we're going to talk about is called ringed hair. And just simply, it is gray hair and pigmented hair that grows out together. I love the way this type of hair looks, especially when the hair is curly and the ringlets are gray and pigmented hair. The contrast is really beautiful. We used to call it salt and pepper hair, ringed hair. All right, this is the last one, but definitely not the least. This is probably one of my favorite disorders to speak about. Don't ask me why. I'm just weird like that. But it is called hypertrichosis, which is also known as hirsutis. I also like that name as well. But if you recall in my last video, I mentioned this disorder, and this is where the thick hair, which is known as terminal hair, grows in areas where normally it would be the fine lanugo hair growing. So if you recall when I mentioned how, you could see like the finer lanugo hair or vellus hair, if you will, out in the sun, either on your arms or sometimes on your face, just different areas of the body. Well, just imagine if the terminal hair, like hair from a beard or from the scalp, is growing in those areas. So you can see online, it affects babies. There's a lot of people that it affects. However, it even says in the text that women who have beards and mustaches, that's an example of hypertrichosis, because normally women don't have, where you could see mustaches. Usually it's really fine. But when it grows in a little heavier and is becoming thick, that's when it's becoming more like terminal hair. So that would be an example of that. Are there treatments? Yes, there's laser treatments. There's all kind of hair removal treatments that could be permanent. However, I remember seeing an interview like years ago where they were called the Wolf Boys and they traveled with the circus and they did not want their hair removed because that was considered their money maker. That's how they made money. And in their case, it was genetic. So it did run in their family. They also had cousins that had the same disorders, but they got the treatments done. So also I wanted to tell you this too really quick before I end the video. Well, this is how I learn, and hopefully this can help somebody. Usually, when I see a word that's kind of large, I will break down that word and try to relate it to things. So, for instance, hyper, you can look at it as an overproduction of something, or it overly does something, whereas hypo doesn't produce enough or doesn't do enough. So it's always going to be less than what it normally should be. So there's a term called hyperpigmentation, and that has to do with the skin. So when someone says, oh, you have hyperpigmentation, that's an overproduction of pigment in the skin where normally it shouldn't be producing that much. Trichosis, I relate that to trichology, which is the study of hair, right? So then you have hyper and overproduction, and then trichosis of hair, right? So hopefully that helps you. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you next time where we'll finish up the disorders of the hair and of the scalp. And next week, I want to try to, well, I may do a video tomorrow. We'll see. But the next video, I want to kind of wrap this up and move on to another chapter. Bye, guys.